this is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today it's about a mashed up bracelets that are, well, it's like two bracelets meshed into one. The patterns are 16645 and 24284 on friendshipbracelets.net. One side, the red and the yellow side, not exactly optimal for trying to do any kind of segment knotting. However, the other side, where it's black, white, green, and blue, that one actually kind of works out pretty cool. In fact, that's kind of what helped make me enjoy this pattern a bit more, was the fact that at least one side was kind of forgiving and works out kind of nice. The other thing, and this is, I didn't take this into account when I was picking the patterns and stuff. There's only one strand of green and only one strand of blue. And typically speaking, that's not a problem, because when I double my floss, one strand coming up and over the loop is two strands coming down. So having a single individual color, not a problem, right? Because they're doubled up. But these are singular, right? There's only like 8 little strands going into that little kumi loop. And yeah, I needed a separate blue and a separate green in there. So that was kind of a little bit of a problem. And how I solved that was, embroidery floss has 6 strands of thread in each one of the normal size bits of it, right? So I split it in half, and as you do that, it spins and it gets really nightmare-ish. You almost need to have 3 hands to do it. So it would have helped if I had somebody around to give me a hand with it, but I did it. It was troublesome, but I was able to split them in half. And then Mandy, when she put together the kumi, she put the green and the blue together as one strand to make the loop, which, mind you, it's only 8 strands for the whole loop. So you can't really like generate a cool pattern or anything with it. It's just sort of, the braid is the thing. It still turned out really cool. And it took her, I'd say maybe 10 minutes tops, because it's so little to actually get it to work. So that turned out pretty cool. Yeah. So the pattern on the left, that red and yellow thing, I'm pretty sure that if I had tried, I could have maybe have made it a little bit easier, because I don't know. It just seems like there was some change ups here and there in the whole pattern. It wasn't like if I just followed it, I'd catch on and I would be able to work it. I had to actually follow the pattern coming down because of the way that was sort of put together. I don't know. Maybe I did something different from the original pattern, or I don't know, but it was a little bit difficult. In fact, I think you'll actually see I made a couple mistakes, and it was all to do with that side. So yeah, but that said, it's so distinct. The two sides are so distinct in one single bracelet. It really comes out looking super cool. It's really, yeah, I love it. I think it's really fun. I think, I definitely think the pattern on the right is something that I might explore like as a double. And if I do it as a double, I'm thinking the possibility that, I use 4 colors. So that way, like, let's say you got green and blue on the right hand side, the other side could be like red and purple, or, you know, red and yellow, or whatever. It could be something completely different. I think that might actually turn out kind of neat looking. It was just a random thought as I was making it, because I really liked how that one turned out. I'm also curious if there's a larger version of it where instead of a single strand going in the middle, if there's like 2 going in the middle. I'm not sure how many, if it would have to be like 6 into loop, that would be like 12 strings, or 4, 8, 16 strings. I'm not sure what it would need to actually pull it off, but I think it'd be kind of neat to try. You'll see some occasions where like my hand kind of goes off, like I'm doing something else. Yeah, because this took a while. I was streaming some stuff out over on Netflix and kind of enjoying some of that, so that was kind of fun. But yeah, and that might have helped to contribute to the whole fact that it took 2.5 hours to make this. And mind you, I think a bigger part of that really comes down to the fact that because it's individual strands, there's just a lot more knots involved. So part of why I wanted to do it single stranded is I feel like my supply of floss is getting kind of low in some aspects, but I think I'd rather do the thicker bracelets and run out of string than to keep doing this tiny stuff if it's going to take so long, because I kind of doing a video a day, I can't afford to have a whole day spent making one thing. It would be bad. I would never get ahead. I would never have a day off. So yeah. So anyways, I don't know if you noticed, like I really tried to do segment knotting on that left hand side, and there's a lot of like, whenever I could make it a nice long row, I totally went for that. And yeah, and I really love how like the bright green and the bright blue that I used really kind of makes a nice contrast inside of the black, because those are both cold colors. So that if I had gotten darker versions of those two strings, it would have not have stood out as well as it does. I don't know. Something about it kind of reminds me of like DNA, like when you see like the textbooks and stuff. I don't know. I just think it turned out pretty cool, and yeah, hopefully you guys like it. I'm definitely like, this month is the plan is to mash patterns together like this, and yeah, I've already picked out like a number of patterns that I thought might be kind of fun to try. So hopefully this all works out really well. First one down though, I'm loving it. I definitely think this is something that, you know, if I pass this to somebody, I think they would like it a lot. It's really neat. So yeah, 2.5 hours. I just, man, of course that gave me a couple hours of actually watching Netflix. I typically speaking, when it comes to work, I try to just concentrate on the work. I'll usually like maybe play music or something, or I'll throw on some like YouTube videos as sort of a background noise. It kind of helps me with the focusing with my ADHD. But this time I was like, you know what? I want to watch something fun. And so I did. So yeah, that also means that I was working on this on one of those days where I'm not live streaming, like I'm actually doing right now. Because yeah, that's actually a thing as well. So if you wanted to actually see behind the scenes and see me get ready to actually record these, you should become a YouTube member, because that's one of the perks. So yeah, let's just give a thanks to them, all my YouTube members who make all this stuff possible. Their contributions help me to buy floss, which is something that I feel I'm going to have to do kind of in the near future. So yeah, you want to join in on helping, that would be awesome. Yeah, you get that, you get there's a bunch of stuff. The monthly hangouts. We have a hangout on the first Sunday of the month where we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. And yeah, and then you get the little smiley face things next to your name in the chat, so everybody knows that you're one of the cool people that helps. That's always nice. I'm not sure if we've done it. Oh, and you get to see the patterns in advance. I'm not sure if we've done it. I need to take a look at the list of stuff, but I'm pretty sure if you wanted bracelets and stuff, we could actually do a discount code for members. I can't remember if we have one already or not, but it seems like something that would be really cool. And so, yeah, I'll probably get that done. Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna write that down. Discount for members. Yeah, so yeah. I'll talk it over with the wife, find out how much she thinks is a good price to put on that. And yeah, we'll get that in the works. So there you go. Another reason to join. I'll know when we hit the halfway point. Oh, because we just flipped it instead of continuing the pattern downwards all the way. Right in the middle, there are two green, whatever the little box things are, whatever you want to imagine them to be. There's two of them that come together, and yeah, it's hardly noticeable until you know it's there, and then you can't miss it. But yeah, and then it changes the kind of direction, I guess, of the other one. So yeah, this is the middle right here. This is the two greens. So yeah. And I don't know if it really made any kind of difference to what's going on the left-hand side. It seems to me like the left-hand side just kind of continues doing the same old thing it was doing, because we kind of found like the perfect spot for it to do it. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I don't know. Mind you, I sped this thing up a lot because I was thinking the fact that it was so long that I had to make it go faster so that way I would be able to talk to it, you know, over the whole process thing. And I suppose I could have gone faster still, but I don't know. I kind of thought there'd be like a lot more to talk about with it. Oh, this is not beginner friendly. That's something. And those black strings, I was fortunate to have cut them long enough at 1/3 of a skein, which is almost 2.5 meters, but not quite. Because they stay on the outsides. They keep going so much that those were getting kind of short by the end of it. And I kind of I kind of felt like because it's thinner that wouldn't have been really much of a problem. But no, I got that wrong, that it could have been a problem. So yeah, just a kind of a heads up. The red and yellow ones, not a problem. There were some that were shorter than others, but not so short that it was threatening or anything. And mind you, with those, I didn't do anything really all that special with it. I didn't try to like favor one or switch whatever. If ever it had the chance to just kind of go straight, I let it do that. So yeah, that just sort of worked itself out pretty well. The other side, you kind of have to do it the way that it's done, because you're hiding whatever the color isn't. Like right here, we got the green in the square. These other knots have to go the way they go because they're hiding the blue underneath. So there's like not a lot of choices in which direction anything goes. So yeah, it kind of, but that's okay because it doesn't use the green an awful lot. It doesn't use the blue an awful lot. It doesn't even use the white as much when you think about it. But definitely those black strings, they got used a lot, and they get pretty short towards the end. It wasn't so short that like I couldn't do the tassels or anything, but it's one of those things, like as it's getting closer, it sort of feels like, uh-oh, am I gonna make it? And it did, but it was the kind of threat of maybe this will be a problem. Oh, and when it flipped, it kind of changed the way that the segmenting worked. If you watch like how the segmenting was on the top half versus the bottom half, it is different. And I'm not sure that one is necessarily easier or better than the other, but it was kind of interesting to feel like there was a distinct difference in the way that the colors traveled and stuff. So yeah, just kind of a heads up if you're trying to do it exactly like I did using my pattern, there is a change, and it is kind of interesting. So yeah. Yep, that was one of the things. The white has to come back to the other side, and I let it go straight. And I was like, nope, that ain't right. So yeah. Yeah. Just one of those careless mistakes where, if I was paying better attention, I don't think I'd ever made it. So yeah. What else can I tell you? I did mention the fact this is not beginner friendly. This is a lot of zigzags, a lot of concentration, a lot of trying to keep it balanced because it's mashing two patterns together. It's sort of, it could go, you can see there are times where it starts to veer off to the right, like the whole thing's kind of bending, and I have to bring it back to being straight. And that's something you kind of learn with practice. Like if you notice that your bracelet's starting to veer off to a side, pull it, take all the strings and just kind of give it a tug to get it to be straight. Because if you just leave it and continue on, you're helping to make that, like to perpetuate that wrongness into it. And it's just going to become more and more profound the further you go along. So yeah, that's something that like in here you can definitely see, like I'm working to keep it just, I don't know if it's partly because one's a zigzag and the other one's not, but it definitely seemed to have been doing it. Also kind of comes from the fact that I'm working so far away from the clip, but I'm doing that so that way you can kind of see the pattern, you can see which way things are going, make it more centered into the screen. But yeah, you see that? Like I just grabbed a hold at the base of it and just gave it a tug to the left. So that's what that's about. Trying to keep the bracelet, because in the end, it's nice and straight, right? Yeah, and that's how I did it. That's oh, so my next, do I have the notes? No. So the next bracelet I'm doing, I'm going to use one of the patterns, one of these two, into the next one. I think it's the green blue thing is going up with another pattern. So my silly thought on this is, if I keep using one and taking it into the next one, the end of the month review will be really entertaining because it'll go. But like I said, that original idea was going to be that they were all going to be maybe like this thin thing. That was my original thought. But after having done this, I think I'm going back to the thicker version. So there'll be one skinny one, and the rest will be nice thick bracelets. So yeah, it's just I'm trying to make it easier on myself. For me, it's these little tiny ones are definitely harder. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but it's definitely, for me, it's a lot harder. I've so many years now, I've done the double up the string and make it thicker, and yeah, I guess I just really got used to that. So yeah, I like how the blue comes down, like the white strings just come straight across and it just brings the blue into place. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, and you can kind of see by this point, like how short those black strands were. Like most of the strings, you don't see the end of it as it's going up through the loops. But yeah, like by this point, you can see the black strands are getting really, really short. So, well, like I said, it doesn't turn out to be too big of a problem. You just have to have them cut to a reasonable length. So I know there's some people out there that like do math to find out like exactly how long they should cut it. I don't do any of that because you end up with scrap pieces of string at the end that you can't use for anything anyways. So what's the point? You know, at least that's my philosophy on it. If you're one of those people who cuts the strings to length and it works, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear like how much do you save that way? And I am kind of curious. Yeah, we're getting right down to the end, I think. Oh yeah, yeah, because I'm leaving off the strings on the right hand side. Yeah, this is right at the end, guys. Hey, thank you for hanging out with me, and yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. And yeah, as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.